Jurgen Klopp.
10. I don't think he could have done any better this season, to be honest. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe a 9 because I think, he could have done a little bit better on his goalkeeper signing. Maybe, I don't know, could he have done anything to get Van Dijk in the summer rather than in January?
I'm torn between 8.5 and 9, and only because I'm trying to work out if we'd won the European Cup, it's probably a 10 out of 10.
But we had no right to be there.
No, exactly. But that's what I mean. And that's why it's difficult,
Yeah.
I think, because you automatically go 10 out of 10 because you've lifted the European Cup.
Yeah.
I don't think we lost that game because of him.
No.
Per se. Because I don't think it was tactically or whatever. You could maybe make a case for squad depth, but again,
maybe say
I don't
not
think
to
there's
Lallana,
I don't think there's a limit to how much you can account for players getting injured. If
Yeah.
our players had all gone down with hamstring and thigh injuries all season long and we were depleted because he had his training methods or approach had fucked us,
Yeah.
I would mark him down. It's a tough one. He deserves a very, very high mark because he got us to I think the most important thing is he met our season objectives were comfortably met in the end.
Yeah.
And we surpassed all expectations in the European Cup. So.
And I think it's more the style of football he's done it with. So like you say, he's comfortably, reached expectations, but done it in a style of football that nobody would have predicted. I think, and I've spoken to, neutral fans, and I've spoken to Man United fans who are a little bit more, switched on, and that, they're not just idiots. And they've said, on paper, Liverpool comfortably the second best team in the Premier League, and arguably the best team to watch, because they give you more of a roller coaster than Man City, but play almost as good football, if not better, on occasion.
I'm going to give him a 9.5. I don't think there's a manager in world football that could do with this squad what he's done.
That's a great point.
I don't think Pep Guardiola can do it with these players. I think Pep Guardiola's an unbelievable manager, but to do with the players that we've got, with Andrew Robertson, with Trent Alexander-Arnold, with Dejan Lovren, Van Dijk, he'd have fucked half of them off, Pep, and just spent a load of money on somebody else. I don't think he'd have done it with Henderson, Wijnaldum, Milner. I just don't see that he could have done that with these lads. I mean, these are really unfancy players, and we got to a European Cup final with them.
And let's not forget, again, if we're going to draw the Pep comparisons, how many players in that team have won the league? You know what I mean? Yeah. How many players did he relied upon? He still won the league with Vincent Kompany at centre half and Sergio Aguero up front.
And David Silva.
And David Silva in midfield.
There's your spine right there from who've won 2 titles, probably them lot before him. So I think it's an unbelievable job that he's done. And the reason that I didn't give him a 10 is because I don't think he got the squad depth right for us. And listen, injuries play a part in all of that. But injuries are a part of football, so I think you have to plan for injuries in a season. Tactically, he's nailed it in most of the games this season. We've seen improvement against bottom half sides. In the bottom 14 in the Premier League, we lost 1 game this season against Swansea. He's now had 21 wins by 4 goals or more in his time with us.
Which is ridiculous.
Benitez is the only other manager in the Premier League era that's had that many, and he's done it in half as many games. We're scoring loads of frigging goals. The amount of 3-goal games that we've won has been scintillating. We've won 7-0 twice this season in the frigging Champions League.
I mean, one was in the knockout stage.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And a 5-0 away from home that he's masterminded. He brought Mo Salah into the football club. He's got Roberto Firmino scoring 27 goals. If he'd have won it, it'd have been a 10. It's as close to a 10 as I can give him.
Well, it's one of them, and you're right. It's probably worth saying that if he wins it, it's probably more than a 10, isn't it? We joked about the Salah being an 11 thing, because if you winning the European Cup is a 10 out of 10 performance, no matter who you are. If you Real Madrid, it's a 10 out of 10 because you've just gone and won the hardest competition. To get, and maybe, you know what, I think maybe 9.5, and just so we've got a little bit of room for. When he does the double next year. When he does lift a big piece of silverware. Ben,
you mean the treble, right?
Quadruple, sorry, yeah. And also, he's made the fan base so much better. Much better.
But we talked on the final word, I think it was, Ben, about how it's got to be taken into account the fact that we are absolutely made up with him. You know what I mean? Like, there's no inkling of doubt that Jurgen Klopp's the right man. He's totally brought us all on side, and this is, you know, this is his second proper season as manager. The first season with another man's team, he took us to 2 finals, and then he's starting to build something now. And you know,
he'll be at the club for another 5 years at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what he's really good at doing? He's really good at proving that he knows football better than we do.
Yeah.
Because throughout December and bits of January, he was rotating. And to be honest, I still kind of disagree with the fact that he rested players in the derby at Anfield.
But Benny knows more about football than
you.
I
know, and that's the thing, because West Brom gave us more of a game than Everton did. But you know, for a derby, you want to see all your best players playing. But when we got through that period, and then look, the injury happens to Ox and all that, but we had players fresh then, and we were like, oh, that's why he did it. Yeah, completely understandable.
If we'd fallen short of the league title by 2 points, or even by second of 2 points, then I think I think you're right. I think there's an argument to go back to that little rotation period and go, you know, whether we, you know, be damned the fact that we know nothing about sports science. You know, you can go, you shouldn't have been doing that. You should have played better teams in those games, or even the games in between the Champions League run toward the back end. Because again, we know frig all about the actual science of how many minutes players can play, but because ultimately it allowed us to, we can look at the Champions League final and say, that's you've got to say it's a contributing factor to how we were able to go as long as we were. Then I think any criticisms of him are passing, and then more. There's no damning weakness, I don't think, to him. I think the fears when he came in, and a lot of them were just being spread by fans of other teams, of his style of football had been figured out. It's absolute horseshit. It's not possible to figure. It's working dead hard.
It's one thing to figure it out, but it's another thing to stop it. You know what he's going to do.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've figured his system out. I know who he's going to play, but I wouldn't have a fucking chance of defending it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's two different things entirely.
I think.
Yeah, I'd be asking the ref, can I put 20 players on the pitch? Yeah. It's the only way I can think of stopping Mo Salah.
I think we're looking into the summer and looking into next season, and I think our style of play is sorted. I think I agreed, as much as we've sorted the bottom 14, which was the thing that Liverpool have lacked for 20, 30 years, really. That's the thing we need. You need to get right if you want to win a league title. Well, we figured we're as close to cracking that as we've been in 30 years, because we still had too many draws. I think that's maybe the one slight markdown. But sorry, Emma, I think the thing we've got now is we've got our first 11 and we've got our style of play and we've got that sorted. All we need to do now is just get more in, so that we don't have that drop off so more. So it's just making sure that there's just another pacey lad who can play on either flank. It's making sure that we've got another pacey lad who can break the lines from midfield to do what Oxlade-Chamberlain's doing. It's making sure that you've got, you know, your backup centre halves are up to a close or young enough to learn the trade up to the standard at which we've got it at the moment. And probably, you know, I think as we've covered a lot, maybe sort the goalkeeping situation out is the one. That's probably the one area of the team that he hasn't quite got right yet. Yeah. I think you can see that the defence has gotten better, the midfield's gotten better, the attack's gotten better.
The attack's been rubbish, so.
It's been awful.
No, I think I agree with everything you said there. My only worry is that maybe Klopp is a little bit too faithful in some of the players. So when it comes to the summer and we might need to be a bit more ruthless in letting go players like Lallana and, you know, I don't know whether you would or not, but I'm saying, like...
I think if he's faithful, Emma, I think he's faithful to players who'll run through brick walls for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can do a damn sight worse than have players who will die for the shirt and keep faith in, than managers in the past who've kept faith with lads because... Like Sturridge being the prime example of that. Too many managers have kept faith with Daniel Sturridge because they know he can score goals. Whereas he will keep faith with lads who will...
Because they've worked for him and they've worked for the team. No, I agree with you, and I completely understand it, and I like him for that. But in terms of improving the club, he just needs a little bit more, maybe, of a ruthless streak, and just say, for the sake of the club, as much as I love you as a player, if there's somebody better along, you know, he might just have to be a bit ruthless. But I don't know. He could prove to do that in the summer. So I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
He needs to go out for me in that sense and just go, fuck it, I need to spend 90 million on a goalkeeper.
On a keeper. Yeah, well,
go and
that's
get
my
Oblak.
point.
Just do it, you.
Yeah.
Just
improve it.
I understand why
Yeah.
you like Karius, and I
Yeah.
understand that, you know, you've spotted him and you want it and all this. Keep Karius
By
around
all
if you
accounts,
want.
it's not even him who spotted him, isn't it? It was brought forward to him by Edwards
Yeah.
and what have you. Like,
Yeah.
and he's on the verge of being the only one signing we've made that's not, you know, really kicked on. But again, it's about the price. The thing for me is that, and then just lastly on that, because I think it's tied into the Karius thing, it is a big decision to be made by him. This summer, it could be the difference between a 10 out of 10 season and another 9.5 or 9. Is what you said, or what we've said already, is that Jurgen Klopp knows more about footy than we do, and it just wouldn't shock me at all. You know what I mean? It's to see us. It wouldn't shock me to see us go big, because we've now seen that Liverpool are prepared to go big in the transfer market to get what we need to sort things out. But we said this about the left back situation 2 seasons ago. We've said that about the defensive midfield position this season. We said about the centre forward position in the summer as well. Every time we think no, look, it's obvious that this is what we need to sort. Jurgen Klopp looks to what he's got and goes, right, it's your time to shine, and more often than not, they've shone. So
exactly, which is why Klopp's going to go and spend 90 million on a keeper now.
Loris Karius is about to have the greatest season
of his life. Yeah.